UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the United Federation of Podcast Network. I'm your host for today, Thad Hait, and joining me today is my co-host, Chrissie. And unfortunately, Brandon is off making some hydrocarbons to communicate correctly with the 10C, so he will not be with us this week.
Yeah, so it's just the two of us this week, and we're going to be a flying duo, I guess is what they might call it for this, so...
I don't know if anyone's ever said that before.
flying
solo you hear, but I don't know if I've ever heard flying duo. I don't know.
That's
before.
Probably means something that I don't want it to. But
I'm sure it has an Urban Dictionary meaning. Yes.
I was about to say flying solo, but there's two of us, so that's where that. Okay. All right, listeners, we're already off to a good start. So
excellent.
Go
yes.
there.
All right. So anyway, Chrissie, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm glad to figure out how to communicate with things that look like the aliens from Independence Day, and now we're, as the episode says, coming home. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I especially now that my transporter beam has finally appeared.
Yeah, that was good. That's good. That's some serious Deus Ex Machina. There, we'll talk about that.
All right, before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly our associate producers Justin Oser and David Willett. Listeners, we'd love to add your name to this list, and we can do that with your monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/UFPEarth.
Right, so there was some really interesting news this week, wasn't there, Thad?
Just a bit. Apparently, we are getting James Tiberius Kirk in Season 2 of Strange New Worlds.
Yeah!
Paul Wesley, who's apparently most famous for the show The Vampire Diaries, has been cast as James Kirk on Strange New Worlds Season 2. We don't know how much of a role it'll be. I am 99% positive they had no plans of announcing this, and the only reason they did is because photos of him in uniform got out because they were filming in downtown Toronto.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it was like... it was that evening that those photos came out that they made that one tweet about it, and that's like all they've said. So I think they were just trying to get ahead of the speculation.
Yeah. This feels like what they needed to have done with the Strange New Worlds trailer.
Yes, this is that. Yeah, it's like they're actually handling this correctly.
Well, I was actually going to say they could have probably just kind of swept that under the rug, and by the time things started up again, people would have maybe not forgotten about it because it's the internet, but they could have.
Oh, you're saying they shouldn't have said anything?
Yeah. Or just said, there's lots of men with blondish hair and gold uniforms.
That's true. There was some speculation from people on Twitter that it was Kirk, but obviously no one knew.
Right.
And yeah, that is interesting. They could have just let it go.
Who knows?
Also, apparently, and I learned this from listening to Weekly Trek last week, that the trailer that we got for Strange New Worlds is not the one that the cease and desist were sent out about. That was a different trailer that has not yet been released publicly.
Yeah. So that's another layer of what? So.
Yes.
We'll see.
All we can really say on Paul Wesley as Kirk is the promotional still of him sitting on the bridge. The background is clearly the same set as the Enterprise bridge, but there are slight differences, so it appears to have been, in fine Star Trek tradition, used an existing set and slightly made it different for something else. So I suspect it is not the Enterprise, but it could be. And he's wearing a regular Strange New Worlds style Enterprise Delta in the promotional shot, but in the shots that got out on the internet from shooting in Toronto, he's wearing a different chest emblem. It is not the Delta that we know and love as the Enterprise symbol and may or may not be all of Starfleet at this point. It's like a pentagonal pyramid. And so my thought process on this is he's wearing captain's bars. I'm thinking he's the captain. He's going to have a brief appearance as the captain of another ship, whatever ship he commanded before Enterprise, and they just put him in the regular Enterprise uniform for that promotional photo.
Yeah, because that would be like when we saw Pike in the Discovery uniforms. He was wearing that for a short period of time while he was there, and then back to Enterprise. But
yeah,
I don't know. Brandon was talking in our chat about how this is going to be so ridiculous because, remember how Kirk talked to Khan about how he met his great-great-granddaughter or whatever, however far down the line she's going to be, but...
Well, there's all sorts of problems with the whole concept of La'an Noonien Singh. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt, but I really don't know how they're rectifying that. But they can do it with Kirk, because they never have to explain... If Kirk's not there for a long period, they never have to explain to him that she is Khan's granddaughter. Right. Like, Kirk can interact with her and have no idea that the... Lieutenant Singh he met 10 years ago is in any relation to Khan Noonien Singh come Space Seed.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, we already have problems with what about Spock and Uhura, but we'll find out. It also, there are some people because, people on the Trekkies on the internet are going to complain about everything, whether they even know what it's about or not. And there are people complaining about the one line in the Menagerie where Kirk says the only time he met Pike was when Pike handed over the Enterprise to him. Okay. But how many times has one single line uttered on Star Trek already been retconned into something else? Yeah, and, that lumpy face makeup on Terry Farrell for those 6 years, that was just, I'm not worried about that one. That doesn't bother. That one doesn't bug me at all. We'll see what happens. Yeah. I mean, there are people that are speculating it's going to turn into the Captain Kirk show, and I don't think that's true. No. I think it's going to be an appearance, and that's it.
No, I think that's easily doable. And then, if they wanted to, they could take Pike through the Enterprise, through the period of Pike's Enterprise until he hands it off, and then that's they got the series finale already lined up, or
and then that could end like the final shot of that could end with all of the TOS crew on the bridge, and that would work really well, I think. And then because of the success of that, then they'll make this new show called Star Trek.
Phase 2, right?
There you go.
It'll be the second 5-year mission. No, which actually I would not have a problem with at all. But I'm trying to think if there's a most of the crew on the bridge still. I'm sure somewhere in the series they could do that without it being one of the promotional shots and have it look like, oh look, the 5-year mission's beginning, and actually use a shot from the original. Kind of fade it into.
There surely
I
must
am thinking
be.
Way too far ahead, though, so we'll just...
there would definitely be one of everybody but Scotty, and there would definitely be one of everybody but Bones, and I assume there's got to be at least one time when Bones and Scotty were both on the bridge. Oh, yeah, and,
they can Photoshop whatever they want, really. This is so easy anymore.
But the real thing here is, alright, so we already are getting Uhura. We're already getting Nurse Chapel. We have Spock. Are we going to see the whole TOS crew at some point throughout Strange New Worlds? Like a recast version of everybody?
It seems like we're moving in that direction. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe not Chekhov. Because
Chekhov's like 12 or something.
Okay, yeah, so we're going to see Dr. Mbenga, and that makes sense to me. Because there's not like... a time when they said, we're getting a new doctor and he's here. He's there with the rest of them.
Yeah, like I assumed like Mbenga was just on the ship as one of the doctors. Yeah. Which I don't think and we know that Bones was not Kirk's first chief medical officer because that was Piper in Where No Man Has Gone Before. Right. But that doesn't mean we can't have an episode where they're helping Dr. Leonard McCoy do something.
Well, and it also doesn't mean that he's not there already, just not the CMO.
That's
Somebody
true.
retires or moves.
Because that's a good point. Because in the books, John Jackson Miller's Enterprise War, which is a very good book, Scotty is already on the show.
And that was the other thing I was going to say. I would expect to see Scotty because there's been established in other places. I don't know if it was just Enterprise War that he was on there before, because he was supposed to be older than most of them, as he was anyway. But
right, we don't actually see a chief engineer in the cage. I don't think.
No, I don't think
so. He could have already been the chief engineer,
or again, just in the crew,
just as one of the engineers. Yes, because Scotty's first episode is Where No Man Has Gone Before,
right.
But that doesn't mean he wasn't there before.
Right.
And the same's true for Sulu. Sulu is shown on the crew in Where No Man Has Gone Before, but he could have already been there too.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing here is, if they bring in Sulu, are they going to have him as a science officer like he was in Where No Man Has Gone Before?
I don't know.
We'll be talking about Strange New Worlds enough, I think, in a month.
Yes, yes, and we've gotten to the point of baseless speculation now. So yay!
It was always baseless speculation, to be fair.
Yes.
But
Bottom line, they've cast somebody as Kirk, and he's in at least one scene. So, because that's all we know. And he was,
and that scene does include La'an Noonien Singh. We know that too. That's really all, and it appears, presumably, it is a planet set scene since it was shot in downtown Toronto.
Yes. One thing, and then we'll stop on this with the baseless speculation, because this really is. But in the discussion about, he's wearing captain's bars, and he doesn't know who she is when he meets Khan and all of that. And we have ample room for flash forwards here, if somebody wanted to do that. So there is absolutely no reason that this couldn't be after he has, after the first 5-year mission, or even, just after Space Seed. Unlikely, because we don't usually do that, but
right,
I'm putting it out there just in case.
It's possible they could do that. I think that's unlikely. I will say I saw one mildly amusing meme related to this, which was it was a screen capture of a news outlet, I don't remember which, that said that Paul Wesley will be the third actor to play Captain Kirk.
Yes, I saw that. And
then underneath it was a screen capture from the terrible TOS episode Turnabout Intruder, with of Sandra Smith as Dr. Janice Lester, saying, "I think they miscounted, because in that episode she swaps bodies with Kirk, so technically she also played Kirk."
Yeah, it was, weird version of her Kirk, but yeah, that's...
I never thought I would be laughing at a Turnabout Intruder meme, but here we are.
Done differently, and having it not be the final episode of the series, like what happened with These Are the Voyages, it probably would just be forgotten. But because it was the last episode...
At least in the case of TOS, it's not, set up as a finale.
Yes, that's true.
These are the Voyages.
That is true.
Turnabout Intruder is just a bad episode in general. It has some real problematic things about it. But, Anyway, let's stop talking about a bad episode of Star Trek and start talking about a great episode of Star Trek, or at least I loved it.
I did too.
What were your initial thoughts?
This whole season, this whole season's really been a COVID metaphor. I think we have a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it continues to be, because it's this whole thing of, so the immediate danger is done. Everybody's going to take a breath, take a break, but there's still lots of work to do. And things are coming back together the way they should be, but it's not perfect. Which I think is a good way to end a season of Star Trek, because it is hopeful and it's thoughtful, and there's more work to be done. There always is in the human condition. So
the human adventure is just beginning.
Indeed it is. What do you think?
I loved it. I thought, I made I made no secret of my frustrations with some of this season of Discovery, but I think these last couple episodes, they've really pulled it together and stuck the landing.
Agreed.
And I think and I think I said this even back when I was complaining about it dragging on. I think when binged this episode, like if you watch the whole season in a weekend, I think it'll work great. Even those middle episodes, because you're still coming to the end. It was just that we were watching them every week. And I really loved the way they ended this episode. I mean, it just felt very much Star Trek. I mean, Star Trek is all about is solving a problem, figuring out the differences that we have with others, and coming together and making each other understand each other and work towards the common good. That is Star Trek to its core.
Absolutely.
And that's what this episode did. I think it's the best finale in modern Star Trek.
I'm not going to go that far. It's pretty damn good.
Well, by modern Star Trek, I mean of the Kurtzman era.
Yeah, no, I know.
But,
I'm thinking, and I'm...
That said, I mean, I did really like First Contact and Lower Decks.
Yeah.
But it's... Okay, I will say it is definitely the best Discovery season finale, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think I can give you that. I'm... Listeners know I hate picking favorites like that. It's got to be really...
Oh, fair.
Really heavy.
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I know.
Or anything.
I feel like... When somebody says it's the best, you feel like you have to respond. That's not you, that's me. But, yeah. Yeah, no, it was great. And it left it... I was so glad it wasn't a cliffhanger. I was worried we were going to get a cliffhanger, and I just... Nope.
I was hoping that if it was going to be sort of like how... Like season 1, where they finish the story and then we get a cliffhanger for the next season. I would have been okay with that, but not if God help me, if this had ended with the DMA still threatening Earth, I would have yes, that would have been very annoying.
Yep. So,
but thankfully that didn't happen. It ended the way we wanted to. It ended with a fantastic cameo that that made certain people that I don't like mad. So, yay.
Yeah. That I had a very busy weekend, so I didn't get to dive into the media crap storm that social media crap storm that happened from that. But everybody that doesn't like that, they can go away. We're being vague. Stacey Abrams, I mean, you guys, listeners, you've watched the episode already if you're listening to us, I would think.
So.
But yeah, so Stacey Abrams was the president of Earth. And if you don't know who Stacey Abrams is, she was a progressive, I think, was she DSA associated or was she just progressive? I don't remember if she was...
That I'm not sure.
I don't think she was DSA being Democratic Socialists of America. But I think she was endorsed by Bernie Sanders. Yeah.
She was endorsed by Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
She ran for governor of Georgia in 2018. Yep. And there were there was rampant voter suppression in Georgia in 2018.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily saying that she would have won without that, but it certainly didn't help.
Yeah.
And I think in direct response to that, in 2020, she worked tirelessly to combat voter suppression in Georgia. And without her efforts, there's a very real possibility Georgia would have gone a very different way in multiple elections, in multiple races that year, which would have resulted in the U.S. Senate going a different way.
Yes, that's right, because John Ossoff and all of that.
Ossoff and Warnock.
I couldn't remember his name. Yeah, Raphael Warnock. Yeah. So, all right. So we won't get into the nitty gritty of the politics.
This is not. We're not.
But
there are plenty of podcasts that talk about that stuff. This was more just a explanation because I have actually explained this to a couple non-American Trekkies, like what she did.
Why it's a big deal?
Because I mean, why would you know?
No. I mean, that's yeah.
But the other important thing is she is a very vocal Star Trek fan.
Yes.
So that's why she got this cameo, and it is perfect.
She has said in interviews that Star Trek is one of the things that put her on the path of trying to make society a better place. And so that is Star Trek to its core. And if we can't honor that in some way in Trek, then... I don't know what we're doing. So I think that was just wonderful that they brought her in. I think it's wonderful that they kept it quiet, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one knew that coming. Like, that was completely out of the blue.
She should have played Kirk. Sorry, totally.
Would have been interesting casting.
It would have been,
there,
yeah.
yes.
God, can you imagine how mad people would be? Those same people who didn't like seeing her at all. But yeah. So it's nice to see that. It is a political celebrity, polio celebrity. I don't know. It's a
stunt casting, I think, is usually the term people use.
That's a good word for it. Okay. Right. It's a cameo in the long tradition of Mae Jemison, the astronaut, in the Crown Prince of Jordan, who's now the King of Jordan. You know, these are people who are Trekkies who are relevant outside of the Trek world getting involved, and I just love it. So
I mean, heck, Whoopi Goldberg as Guinan was started out that way. So yeah.
So I mean, it's really cool. Yeah. Well, we jumped to the end, so we should probably come back to the beginning.
Yeah, we did. Yes,
worth jumping to the end though for that.
It was. Like I feel like you can't talk about your impressions of this episode without mentioning that.
That's true.
All right, but yes, in the beginning we have Tilly back.
Yes,
and we have the cadets, the same cadets from the previous episode, which I thought was a nice touch.
That was nice to see. I was glad to see that.
And they're doing the evacuation efforts. It's kind of neat that the headquarters itself, each deck is a separate ship that can go off, and that was interesting. Programmable matter can do anything. Yeah,
but I mean, also that I was glad they Tilly spelled it out. Mm-hmm. Like, here's some exposition. Remember, everybody, that these can go separately, so don't leave any room.
Yeah,
where people could be evacuating.
Yeah, because otherwise it would just be when they're like, deck 27 is clear for. It's like, what?
Why? Yeah. But when you think about it, that's a really awesome thing. It is. It's like taking the saucer section, being able to separate to a whole other level.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's fantastic. I'm just loving what they're coming up with, the technology for this stuff.
And I mean, when you can basically have the whole design do whatever you want with programmable matter, why have separate escape pods when you can just make the decks the escape pods?
Yeah. I mean, you could literally have programmable matter sitting in the ceiling or the floor that creates an escape pod. You know. So
yes, and we also we get mention of the USS Mitchell, which out of universe is almost certainly named for Ken Mitchell.
Yes.
In universe, maybe Gary Mitchell.
Probably not. Probably not. But he was the first one that I had not thought of Kenneth Mitchell until I saw people talking about it online, because apparently he had said he had one more appearance in the season and it would be something people weren't expecting. So then the question was, is this what he meant? And I think it was.
Probably what he meant, yeah.
Yeah. But my first thought was like, oh, more galactic barrier stuff. It's Gary Mitchell. And I don't know why didn't think of Kenneth, but that's all right.
Well, no, I was the same way, and because they had actually mentioned the USS Mitchell a couple episodes ago, and I brought it up as a canon connection for Gary Mitchell, especially because at that point they were going to the galactic barrier. But yeah, I mean, it makes more sense, certainly, because I mean we have the Eisenberg class, and then we have the USS Yelchin, so clearly they're not above doing that. So
no.
And we've had plenty of other instances of that sort of thing in Star Trek. So
So that's cool.
It was cool.
I like that.
I did really enjoy the dynamic between Vance and Tilly.
Me too. That was nice with the whole, we're going to sit here and have a drink and ponder life. And to hear Tilly say that she was happy with where her life ended up.
That was great. Yes.
Yeah. I really liked that. That was because she had so much trouble in a lot of times, and just, it can be tough. I think she's wonderful representation for people who have, bounced around with not knowing quite what they want to do and who are feeling like they're reacting instead of acting. And so, yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, I did too.
The thing about her mom,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's resonating with a lot of people. It resonated with me. We've all had,
Right.
Thankfully, my relationship with my mother is not like Tully's relationship with her mother, but we've all had our moments.
Oh, yeah.
You know this, but it's true. The love is there, and that's what you need. And you can argue about other stuff, but the love is there.
I mean, that's unfortunately not always true for everyone, but for
That's true.
many people, and I would even venture to say most, that is. And even if it's not true with your parents, I would hope you have other people that it is true with. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can, just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean you can't love them. Also, sometimes, you say you love somebody, it doesn't mean you can't disagree with them, so.
Yeah. Yes.
We're all over the place today. This is great. Okay. See? Get all serious when Brandon's not here.
All right.
Anyway.
Yeah, because Brandon's not here to complain about anything, and then we don't know what to talk about.
That's not right. Okay. But funny. All right. So, anything about the evacuation efforts? I thought that was really the cadet that asked, how many are we going to be able to get?
Yes. And it's such a small number.
Less than 1 million between all of them. I assume Titan had a relatively small colonial population.
Well,
so.
they mentioned how many it was from Titan. It was, I don't remember, but it was a few 100,000, I think.
Okay, yes, I know he said all of Titan and then 450 from each Navarre and Earth.
Yeah, not many.
No.
Even by today's population standard, and presumably there's more of them now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Actually, there may not be more of them now because they, got to spread out among the galaxy. But,
true.
Regardless, that's not a lot of people.
No.
That's not even necessarily enough people to sustain the human race long term.
I was just thinking that, yeah. Of course, that's just counting who's on Earth. There's a lot of humans elsewhere.
Right.
But, yeah, you're losing everything with that.
You're losing a lot of genetic diversity by doing that.
But, thankfully, we didn't lose genetic diversity.
We didn't? Yes, we did. Man, we just keep going down the dark holes here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really.
So when they're trying to communicate with the 10C, they realize they ask to be released from the bubble, and the 10C responds that they already have been, which indicates that the 10C doesn't draw a distinction between Book and Tarka and the rest of Discovery.
Yes.
And they're not sure how to communicate that to the 10C, and President Tarina suggests that she mind meld, which, that's a great idea. I also wonder why maybe they didn't think of that sooner.
I've been expecting that the whole time.
Like, if this had been TOS, Spock would have done it 5 episodes ago.
If this had been TOS, we wouldn't even remember that this was happening. Be on to new things, and he'd have mind melded with 3 other people by now.
Right.
But no, I digress. Yeah, no, I did not understand why. Once there was a physical presence there, okay, which really wasn't terribly necessary because all she did was stick her hand on the window. But we'll say that there was
there's a lot of
foggy
ambiguity in Star Trek in general as to what is and is not required for a mind meld.
Mm-hmm.
Because Star Trek 3 would have us think that you can't do it through a window. But, because that's why Spock left his Katra with Bones, because he was separated by glass from Kirk.
I always assumed that was just he didn't know if he was going to be able to reach anybody.
Okay, that's also possible.
Because that was before, because Kirk was down there later. But, yes, you wouldn't think that was possible. Actually, Sarah says as much. Because Kirk says we were separated by the glass. And
But then, I mean, in Star Trek throughout, we've had times when it's required touch and times when it hasn't. And then of course, you've got the fact that, that Burnham and Sarek were connected by their mind meld over a long distance.
However many light years, yeah.
Right, so mind melds appear to work as well or as well as the plot requires them to do.
Yes. Yes.
And
which
in
is
this
kind of
case, she makes the connection, but their mind is really too powerful and too different for it to work very well. But I think it worked well enough, because I think it is, because yes, President Torina was certainly harmed by the experience, but I think that is probably what helped the 10C understand the individuality and when they reached back out.
Yes.
And is probably what helped them with the because the 10C also apparently helps them with their translation ability, which is good.
Yeah, because all of a sudden it's a lot easier to talk to them.
Yeah, well, there is the line about how they uploaded the translation they uploaded to the new translation, and then I'm like, okay, cool, we can talk a little better. And then the Federation president starts giving a whole political speech. I'm like, oh wow, we can really talk to them better now.
Well, now we're just translating it into Vulcan, so I guess because they know that now. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting thing. I did like how they were talking about that. The individual versus the whole as one, and that issue. And I thought it was interesting to me that Rillick brought up the Borg, just in passing. Yes. But that says to me, like, okay, they're still around, or at least they have been around enough that that's at the forefront of people's minds, because, like, the average person...
If they hadn't been seen since season 2 of Picard... that would have been a long time ago for these people.
Right. And it's not like if we're like, oh, look, there's some people on horses, people don't go like, oh, you mean like the Mongols? So it's like, yeah, it's in the forefront of people's minds for some reason, or at least she learned about it in school or something. So I thought that was very good. And I liked that there was that differentiation immediately, and everybody knew what it meant. Of course, nobody from the Discovery crew asked what, but I suppose they've probably read history.
I assume at this point they've read stuff. Yeah. I mean, no one on the Discovery crew was confused about Vulcan and Romulan unification. They were surprised by the concept of Vulcan and Romulan unification. None of them were surprised that Romulans and Vulcans look the same, though, which means they must have read something.
Yeah. So I really liked that, and I liked how they explained it, how we are each of us one, but we are one as the whole. And again, that goes back to the whole, the COVID metaphor and the metaphor of coming in together as a society, which I just, I can't say it enough. That's very Trek, and it's wonderful.
Yes. And meanwhile, back on Bookship, Tarka is... implacable. He is going to do this no matter what. Book and Reno try to convince him that it's not going to work. Like, even if he does change to a different universe, it's not going to be the same people. It's going to be different people. But he's going to do it. So
yeah, it's sad, but it's also it's something that Trek has dealt with. You think of Benjamin's reaction to seeing Jennifer. Even though it's Mirror Jennifer, and even though he knows that it's not her.
And Kira with Mirror Bareil.
Yeah.
And heck, Burnham with Mirror Georgiou.
Oh, yeah. You have to go back that far. What am I saying? So yeah, I didn't like the way this fell out with... We'll get to that with Tarka, because I feel like he almost didn't need to be there. But that's a whole... We'll get to that.
Conveniently, since Book is now also behind the force field, he has the device to make a cat door and force fields for Grudge. So that worked out well. I liked when Reno says, "I just might start to like your cat."
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just in the stuff in that area where they were holding her, because I don't think he had it. Didn't it fall out and hit his shoe or something like that? When the ship moved?
That might be. But it's convenient that he had it.
Yeah, that was perfect. And I love that. A cat door? Oh, you can thank me later. And then they didn't show them trying to get through it, which I'm kind of disappointed about, but also makes perfect sense.
We didn't get a scene like in Generations where Picard's crawling through the...
Yeah. We didn't need that, but it would have been funny.
It would have been funny to see David Ayala try to fit through that, honestly, because it did not look big enough for him to do that.
No, it didn't.
Like, I could see, I could actually see Reno fitting through that, but not Book. But we didn't see that at all.
No, that's all right. It was probably set up so that if Grudge bounced into it, it didn't shock her, so they might not have exactly fit in it. But
yeah, it may, automatically resize depending on what's crawling through it. I mean, what if Grudge has had a lot of kibble that day?
Yeah. Yeah, so they get out and talk to Tarka and then just bonk him over the head.
Yes. This episode definitely seems to be, everyone that was... Well, I guess it's really just Tarka and Doye, but the people who were our foils, I guess. I was starting to say foe, but foe's the wrong word. Foils, yeah. Are seeing reason and coming round. Because I very much like the scene where they talk to Ndoye and they tell her that it looked like we actually might have stopped it if this hadn't happened, and she realizes how wrong she was.
Mm-hmm. That actress played that beautifully. Mm-hmm. And then on the bridge later when she's like, no, I'm going to go pilot the ship and run into them because it's making amends. Mm-hmm. If she doesn't survive, it's okay. If she does, it's okay.
So that scene, that bugged me a little bit. The whole, the fact that it was a suicide mission, what they said basically was that they wouldn't be able to get them out in time, and also there was no way Book and Tarka would survive either. Right. And yet, all three of them survived the crash.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. They sort of set the stakes as in these people were all going to die, and none of them did. I mean, Tarka does eventually.
Well, eventually, but I don't know. There's been a lot of death and discovery. Maybe they decided needed a win.
Yeah, there were so many people that might have died in this episode. I thought Vance and Tilly might, actually.
Oh, yeah. I think that would have been a terrible mistake if they had done that. Different if Earth had been destroyed, but yeah.
I thought that might have happened, and that, yes, I agree that would have been a mistake to do, but I thought it might happen. The one person I never thought was dead was Book.
I wasn't sure on that, because it was like, well, that kind of works, because it puts her back in the position of as so many of our captains being married to their ship, and then he showed back up again, and I was like, okay.
No, so for me, the second the transporter disappeared, I'm like, oh, the Tennessee grabbed him.
And that didn't even occur to me.
Because how many episodes of Star Trek throughout all the Star Trek has there been the moment of tension where they're beaming someone out and the ship explodes, and then after the ship explodes, they materialize on the platform? Yeah. It happens all the time. So, I'm like, I think it would have worked. I think his beam was, intercepted, and I was right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it worked out all right.
Yeah.
I kind of liked that they were like, well, we didn't know what this was, but we figured it was important.
Yeah.
That was nice. I like that.
Yeah, and we set up the tension of them also burning out the spore drive to get out. Which... Yes. The one thing that, has been bugging me all season, that, they get big, huge flames coming out of the consoles, and the thing that really confused me is this is all happening while they say the EPS grid is about to overload. I'm like, so what is causing the flame if the EPS grid hasn't overloaded yet?
The rocks.
There were plenty of those too.
There's rocks in the all the panels. I don't know. That didn't. I don't ask questions about that anymore. Flame on a starship bridge, that's fine. Whatever.
I mean,
the only time that ever made sense when something wasn't about to be destroyed it was the Kobayashi Maru simulator.
Right.
Then I was like, okay. Any other time that should just be like, oh my god, we're all dead because oxygen. But again, it's Trek, so we won't think too hard
I
about
would imagine it's not like on our spaceships, it's not like a complete oxygen environment. I imagine it's an oxygen nitrogen. I imagine flame is no worse there than it would be here.
Yes, except for the limited supply. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. So, like, it doesn't, not because it's necessarily going to be any more dangerous, except for the fact, like, we got to make more oxygen.
Yeah, but I think they can, as long as the environmental systems are online, I think they can make
true.
as much oxygen as they need.
One would hope. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, though, how they use the spore drive to kind of bust through it, and then there was that moment of, we'd have to warp back home. That would take decades. And I'm like, no, it wouldn't.
Well, it could.
No, it could, but that is not how they've set up this is going to happen, so...
Okay.
We weren't going to have another Voyager.
Yeah, for like half a second I thought maybe they might do that. Or if not that, they might pull a DS9 in season 6 of DS9 there were a couple episodes where they were stranded in a ship without warp.
Yes.
But then eventually they managed to get back. Like, I thought they might do something like that. Like, the first couple episodes of the next season, they'd be stuck, and then they'd find a way home. My first thought was like, well, no, the galactic barrier isn't that far away, because they made it in where No Man Has Gone Before. And I'm like, well, the barrier surrounds the entire galaxy, so they could be anywhere, really. They don't have to be in the part that's closest to Earth.
No, they could be on the other side of the Delta Quadrant, for all we know.
Right.
So. Yeah. But I think that was an interesting idea, and they had this, it was a last ditch. And then, of course, they were able to actually explain to the 10C afterward, and they went, oh, yeah, we would have just let you out. We didn't understand. But that's okay. Yeah. Because if they hadn't done that, they probably wouldn't have. So.
Right. I think if Book and Tarka hadn't burned their way out, I think they would have eventually, the 10C would have at least stopped the DMA.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, paused it. And I think they would have then communicated, but it would have taken longer for the communication to happen. Yeah. But I think they still would have ended up in more or less the same place. It would just taken longer.
Yeah. I think having the issue prompt Tarina to the mind meld with the window, I think that made a huge difference in terms of their understanding. So.
Yeah,
and ours.
I'm still a little surprised they didn't think of that earlier.
Yeah. Well.
Oh well. It gave us a compelling story. So
this is true.
Once Book and Reno have escaped, taken over the ship, they can't actually do anything because Tarka's locked everything down. And I thought it happened rather quickly, but I do like that they were able to talk Tarka down and get him to see reason. Yeah.
It was too quick. But then again, in the context of like, oh, this is the end of it. It's all or nothing. And sometimes you make a quick decision with things. So I was okay with it. But especially because then he's like, oh, I'm just going to die anyway.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter because he can't actually stop it.
Yeah.
But that's where we've got General Ndoye. And she succeeds in her mission. She stops the ship. She gets beamed back out safely. But Book and Tarka can't beam out because of all the security things. And it's
like they popped Reno out, so she was okay.
She was okay, and Tarka forces Book out, and then he sacrifices himself.
Yeah.
Which really was the only way this could have gone.
Yeah, there's no having Tarka do relocation efforts with Book.
Yeah, Tarka would not be getting out of this on community service. No.
But also, I don't know, it just felt like by the end of it, the whole thing, he wasn't needed. Like, everything that Tarka did, someone else that we already knew could have done or could have pushed things in that direction. Because for a while, it was just like, okay, here's this guy, there's Tarka, he's kind of a jerk. And then you feel bad for him because of Oros in the episode, and you find out what happened, and then he's dead. I don't know. I just felt like he could not have been there, and it would have been the same story. But
yeah, probably.
He was interesting. I loved how Tilly was like, "Oh, that guy's such a sweetheart." It was right after he had. I remember it was right after he had said something mean to Book, and then they swap over to where Tilly and Vance are sharing the whiskey. And he goes, "Oh yeah, Tarka gave this to me after we finished the space station." That was funny.
That was, yes.
Nice.
And now we have the very science fiction scene of they're talking to the 10C. They're able to talk very well. They're able to give entire eloquent speeches, which is great. That makes everything work a lot better.
Yeah.
Explaining that they are all individuals who work together, and I appreciated once Burnham was able to explain about Book, and they brought Book back.
Yeah.
The fact that Book was able to convince them that the environmental damage, whether or not it was directly hurting higher life forms, mattered. That was good.
More metaphors.
Yes. Very much so.
Yes. You're saying.
So yeah, and they take down their wall, which is another metaphor.
That's almost as many metaphors as we had for Vietnam. Yeah, I hope we come back to the 10C at some point.
Yes.
I want to know more about them. I want to know their history, or at least, like, who have they interacted with? Why did they put themselves in a bubble? You know?
Like, what happened to cause the disaster?
Right.
Yeah.
Was it a natural disaster, or was it an attack? And like, either way, you could see them putting themselves in a bubble. So it's just, I hope we get to learn more about them. We probably won't, but I hope we do.
Well, you probably won't. Next season will be something else entirely.
Novel. Somebody out there.
Saru and Tarina are finally going to get it on.
Eventually, one assumes.
Hey, they touched hands, which is like straight up making out to Vulcans.
That's true. That's true. That was really sweet with the two of them, and at the end where he's giving her the flower, and I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
I look forward to their story.
So the 10C does give them one final wormhole to Earth.
Yep.
And we get the reuniting, everybody gets to come together for a party.
Yes.
Tilly shows up and everyone's excited for that, and that's great. They're all excited and happy, and they've saved the universe. So, it's a good reason to party.
Yes. And now we can go exploring again, hopefully.
So Book is going to help refugees as sort of a community service, which is a good idea.
I like that.
I like the futuristic cat carrier that he has Grudge in.
I love that. I love it. Yeah. When they first showed that, I think we were talking about it, and really you could do that with some plexiglass.
Oh yeah.
And I'm kind of like, that would be cool. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
a
good use.
Plexiglass cat carrier.
Yeah. Well, our cats are always, when we have to take them somewhere, they kind of freak out, and we sit there, and you gotta, like, it's the plastic, your standard cat carrier, and it's got the grate in the front with the, and so we end up sitting there with, whoever's not driving has their finger in the grate so that the cat is like, it's okay, we know you're here, it's, all of that. And I think with being able to see, I think that would actually work better if they could look around. And
if I were to stick my finger into the grate when my cat is in the carrier, I may lose the finger.
Ooh, okay. All the more reason to have a window. See? Then they can see you, and they're calm. Or calmer, anyway.
Yeah, I don't think there would be anything that would make Laurel okay with being in a carrier.
Most cats are like that, yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good use of Book's talents. I think it's going to be a good use of his connections as well. Because
because he can get all sorts of resources. Yeah.
So that's good. I think it's a good way to. I always like it better when things aren't punitive.
Yes.
And certainly the Federation should be at a point where things aren't punitive.
No, because this sort of thing should be for rehabilitation and penance, and not for punishment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, in theory, the way it's supposed to work now, too, but, it doesn't usually.
Oh, look, more metaphors.
Yes. So yes, we finally meet the president of Earth, and it is Stacey Abrams, and just it was a perfect cameo.
It was, and hopefully, I'm hoping she'll be able to use that for campaigning later in her life. I
would hope so.
Yeah, she's, here's a picture of me as president on TV. Now I can be president in real life. I don't know how good of a commercial that is. It's actually probably not a good one, but whatever.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably a situation where the people who would even recognize what that was from would probably already more likely to vote for her anyway.
Yeah. Although they did, there was a thing going for a while with the Obama Spock memes around the 2012 election. So, and he's a bit of a Trekkie.
He is.
So, you never know. More baseless speculation.
A bunch of them are. I mean, AOC is a huge Trekkie.
Yes. That's what we need. We need Trekkies in government.
Mm-hmm. Well,
somebody start
unfortunately, there are some who claim to be Trek fans who are, I don't want in the government.
I'm not dealing with them. Not dealing with them. No, but that could be a pack.
And
that's a whole
finally,
anyway.
We do end with a dedication for this episode that is referencing someone who worked on the show ran the post-production department, April Nosifora, who sadly passed away back in December.
Yeah. So that's sweet. Again, long Trek tradition of dedications for people we've lost, and it's appreciated that they're doing that for people who are behind the scenes too. So yes,
it's sort of like how Unification was dedicated to Gene Roddenberry because it came out right after he had passed. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and Undiscovered Country. So
yes.
Well, I think we covered any canon connections there were.
I think the Borg and Mind went over that during the process.
Yeah, I don't see any extra ones.
I will say, I had my little tiny complaints and nitpicks because I will always. I just loved this episode. I was glued to the screen from start to finish. It was so freaking good. I'm looking forward to probably in a month or so, maybe, watching the whole season at once and seeing how it goes. I think it'll work really well.
Yeah, I'm not gonna have time to do that anytime soon, but at some point, I probably before next season.
We'll be watching only one episode of Star Trek a week now after this week.
Yeah, because that's what takes up all of my time.
Don't you wish? Don't you wish that's what took up all your time?
Yeah, really. Can I write about that? Anyway, final thoughts?
I think I've said all the thoughts I have, unless you have any final thoughts.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say at the end of this is I can't wait for next season. And
absolutely.
Yay.
Chrissie, where can people find you when you are not flying a shuttle into the side of another shuttle in a suicide mission?
Oh, well, that's not actually going to be that, because I know I'm going to get beamed out, so it'll be okay, because,
Sure.
It's Star Trek, right. But yeah, so when I'm not doing death-defying last-ditch efforts, you can find me, of course, here on Infinite Diversity, and you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on the UFP Network, and that's a twice-weekly history podcast I do with my partner, Jason. You've been hearing a lot more of him lately because I have had a lot of school stuff going on, but hopefully that'll change soon, and we'll go back to each of us doing one episode during the week. And I'm happy to chat about all of our shows in the Federation Council Chambers on Facebook. And I'm on Twitter at the Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. And might as well say now, because we've got only a few weeks left, gonna be in Chicago for the big convention. So love to talk to people, stop and say hi. It's not a video podcast, so you don't quite know what I look like, but, we'll be around. People will be around, and I would love to talk to listeners. All right, so Thad, where can people find you when you are not sharing some whiskey you got while you're watching the end of the Earth that doesn't end up happening?
I feel like I've done that a few times in the last few
Nice.
years.
No kidding.
But yeah, best place to find me is on Twitter. I'm at Tyrannicus, that's Tyranicus, where I tweet mostly about Star Trek, but a lot of other things. I will also be at Star Trek Mission Chicago, and absolutely, I love talking to people. You may or may not know what I look like, but I will probably have a name tag with my name and Twitter handle on it. That's what I've done in the last few cons, so you can find me. I love talking to people. That's one of the reasons I go to Star Trek convention is to talk to other Star Trek fans. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. So, of course, you are listening to a podcast on the United Federation of Podcast Network, and we have lots of different podcasts covering all sorts of things. It's not just Trek. Like, we have a show about Disney shows called Mickey's Marvels, and that's with Chris Terrizio, Pat Devlin, and Casey Pettitt, and they have been talking about everything from Star Wars to Marvel and all sorts of other stuff. Back on the Trek thing, we have All Good Things with Amy Nelson and Mark White, and they cover basically all of the Trek that we don't cover here on Infinite Diversity, and a little bit of overlap as well, because, you're going to have that. And then we also have Amy, along with Ria Papagiorgio, Kevin Scharf, and Joe Keegan on the Galaxy Class, and that is a TNG podcast, hence the Galaxy Class thing. But they do kind of wander into other shows as well, especially when it intersects with TNG, and they are always fun to listen to. And then, getting away from Trek again, we have Always Hold On to Arrow, which is with Lance Laster and Cavante Chillis, and they are talking about the show Arrow. And then, last but not least, you can get into some cryptozoology with Ken Tripp and Zach Moore on Sasquatch. Didn't quite say that how Brandon does, but it's close enough.
I don't think anyone can say it quite how Brandon does.
This is true.
Thank you very much for tuning into Infinite Diversity. Thank you to our executive producers Ken Tripp, Tony Robinson, and Zach Moore. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Tony Robinson for the awesome show art. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe. If you want to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at UFP Earth, or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can talk about any and all of the UFP podcasts in our Facebook group called the Federation Castle Chambers, or you can email us at infinitediversity@ufp.earth. On the next episode, we'll be talking about this week's episode of Picard, Assimilation. Until then, peace and long life.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.